horribly, tragically being beheaded have only been so subsequent to airstrikes, and in fact the airstrikes have been directly blamed by the perpetrators as the reason that they're doing it. Brutality begets brutality.
That means I will not hesitate to take action against ISIL in Syria as well as Iraq. This is a core principle of my presidency.
Well, it's good that you've got some core principles in your presidency, because it's beginning to look like you don't have any principles at all. Like George Bush before him, Barack Obama has inaugurated another Iraq war. This is a war. This is a war. This is a war. This is after winning his presidency on a pledge to end the second Iraq war. A year ago, Barack Obama said, "I've spent 4.5 years working to end wars, not to start them." Well, he's just literally started a war. What's going on in that region of the world? It just seems like perpetual war for perpetual peace, isn't it? It seems that there's always some reason to have a war.
If you threaten America, you will find no safe haven.
What I can also see here is that's dramatic rhetoric, isn't it? Like either, look, people need to see a strong leader. You know, if you ever watch Fox News about Barack Obama, one of the things they're always saying about him, oh, he's weak, he's listless and insipid. So here, it seems like he's more concerned with seeming all tough than actually delivering a solution to the problem. Because the suggested solutions to the problem are, as we will see, eerily similar to the causes of the problem. This is like someone just going, I'm tough, you can trust in me. He's doing the old thumb thing, the old thumb trick. Like, why don't we let the political class know? As soon as you're going like that, we know you're lying to us. I'm powerful, but not rude and powerful. I'm just nice powerful, like when you elected me.
Second, we will increase our support to forces fighting these terrorists on the ground.
You've done a lovely job of supporting terrorists and other forces on the ground. America trained them and armed them and created the conditions under which they are thriving and flourishing by doing what they're doing now. So it's almost like every single facet of it has been caused by the policies that he's now about to a further time roll out.
In June, I deployed several hundred American service members to Iraq to assess how we can best support Iraqi security forces. Now that those teams have completed their work and Iraq has formed a government, we will send an additional 475 service members to Iraq.
The Iraqi government perpetrates serious human rights abuses through airstrikes on various civilian districts, which increases support for ISIS. Despite this, the US plans to strengthen the Iraqi army. I suppose what we have to train ourselves to do is the same way as we can see that bit of body language is a blag. When people, just because we hear Iraqi government, oh, it's an Iraqi government, that's nice, I'd like an Iraqi government. Iraqi government means the administrators that we put there after we deposed their leader, Saddam Hussein, in order to prevent things happening that are happening now, though. So we can't trust them just by virtue of the flags. We can't trust them just by virtue of the language. In fact, we full stop, 100% cannot trust them.
As I've said before, these American forces will not have a combat mission. We will not get dragged into another ground war in Iraq.
People don't want to get dragged into a ground war in Iraq, though. Oh, how am I going to countenance that? Just say it's not a ground war in Iraq and it's not a combat position? When you're bombing people, some people regard that as combat.
But they are needed to support Iraqi and Kurdish forces with training, intelligence, and equipment.
Have you ever done any training and arming type things before? Yeah? How's that worked out? 1 second. Syria, trained and armed. Exactly the thing we did last time.
Now, it will take time to eradicate a cancer like ISIL.
Oh, come on, mate. A cancer. Grow up. Grow up. What? Cancer? Cancer. Let me check my book of good and bad things. Cancer. Bad. But you can't just say that, can you? Is that's the level we're working at? What about that episode? Have you seen the episode of Father Ted, Speed, where they've got to get Dougal off of a milk float that's going to blow up if it goes under a certain speed, in an obvious and brilliant homage to the film Speed? The Catholic Church, when trying to find a solution, the only thing they can ever suggest is doing masses. Shall we do another mass? It's the only idea they can ever come up with. It's a brilliant episode. The American foreign policy and the policies of America's allies echo this. It's Airstrikes? Yeah, but in the airstrikes that caused the problem first. Okay, we'll come back in a week. What's your plan? It's airstrikes! We're trying more airstrikes. Stop having the plan to solve the problem, the cause of the problem. It's like addiction. They're addicted to war.
And any time we take military action, there are risks involved.
There certainly are. Well, there's not even risks. There's some sort of rigid certainties. We know what the outcome will be. This will further destabilise the region. This will create more antipathy. It will radicalise more people in that region. It will cause more people in our countries to feel threatened and outcast and ostracised and angered. So we know exactly what's going to happen. It's almost like, one, you like those conditions, and two, there's another issue that you're not telling us about.
Especially to the servicemen and women who carry out these missions. But I want the American people to understand how this effort will be different from the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan.
That'd be nice, because, you know, it seems like it might be exactly the fucking same. The unexpressed and important reason that this raid, or this new war, this, let's not call it a war, is happening is ISIS are no longer reliant on foreign donations that have come from countries like Qatar, no confidence saying that, and Saudi Arabia. It taxes the people it rules, we've got a state now, and sells oil from the fields it holds in Iraq and Syria. Stopping ISIS's funding largely means depriving it of that territory. Oh, so you're going to take the territory where there's oil? Yeah? You sure that it's like that you're not doing this because you want that oil? Oh, God, oh! The fact that you would say that to us shows that you're the one with the problem. How could you even think that of us, the people who don't ever do resource-based wars in the middle? I'm not even going to talk to you. I'm not even going to dignify that with an answer. It's like we're lying in an argument in a relationship.
It will not involve American combat troops fighting on foreign soil. This counter-terrorism campaign will be waged through...
It's not war. It's a counter-terrorism campaign. I mean, they don't like... Do you like wars? No, there's that song, War. What is it good for? There isn't, as far as I know, counter-terrorism. What is it good for? Countering terrorists. Say it again.
Through a steady, relentless effort to take out ISIL wherever they exist using our air power and our support for partners' forces on the ground.
Yeah, the air power and the support forces on the ground is what caused this problem. It's the very thing that caused this problem. The only thing they're able to eliminate is people in America don't like seeing dead American people come home with flag strokes over their coffin. Just like, if you do that, you might reach the point where the domestic population go, do you know what? Can you stop doing wars over there? Because I'm sick of seeing poor people going and getting killed just for your rich people to have more access to more resources, right? So they eliminate that bit, that's the only obstacle, and then they can get on with taking their resources, because no one likes a beheading. Brutality is wrong, but either brutality is wrong or it isn't. If you want brutal solutions to problems, expect brutal reactions.
Right. The strategy of taking out terrorists who threaten us while supporting partners on the front lines is one that we have successfully pursued in Yemen and Somalia for years.
What's that? Yemen and Somalia? I didn't know we were doing a war there. Yeah, no, we've been secretly doing a war there. We didn't want to worry you.
And it is consistent with the approach I outlined earlier this year. To use force against anyone who threatens America's core interests.
What? America's core interests? What are America's core interests? Well, all you have to do, don't take my hippie word for it. Just look at what America's core interests are. Look at how America is run. Look at the people who benefit most from America. Look how legislation and trade agreements are set up in America and around the world. Look at America's allies. Look at the things that seem to be important to them. Look at the people within America that are oppressed, exploited, beaten and killed by America's own domestic forces. Then you will see what America's core interests are. And then you can check with yourself whether or not you agree with America's core interests. America's Homeland Security has categorically said ISIS are not a direct threat to America. So when he says core American values, you have to think about what he means by core American values. I don't think he means the rights of people to get along and be all groovy with each other. It means American financial interest.
May God bless our troops. And may God bless the United States of America.
No, God will, because what you're doing is endangering troops and you're endangering America with your negligent, foolish, repetitive, psychotic foreign policy. The job of these elected officials is to favourably resolve the problems that we're confronted with, not to pursue their own agenda relentlessly in spite of the damage and harm it causes to the people of the world and the people of their own countries. Here's a lovely piece of writing by a man called Matthew Ho. Matthew Ho! What is he good for? Analysing the situation in the Middle East. Say it again. Ho! President Obama offered no solutions to the underlying political causes of the civil wars in Iraq and Syria. He didn't, did he? The reality of what America has pledged to do in Iraq is to assist in sheer subjugation of the Sunnis by US bombing of Sunni villages, towns and cities. The American military will also ensure that the Kurds keep the oil fields they seized this summer in northern Iraq. Effectively strangling the Sunnis economically. In turn, the Sunnis in existential desperation will give full support to the Islamic State. As long as the United States is shackled with debilitating psychosis of 9/11 and the resultant moral weakness of our elected officials, the Middle East will be full of targets for our bombs. Iraqi and Syrian mothers and fathers will raise children destined to kill and be killed. Jihadist narratives of crusaders will be validated, and our perpetual war will be as boundless as our shame. Pretty good analysis from Matthew Hoare. It's also worth reading
Oh yeah, well that didn't work out anywhere near as well as I was expecting it to. Let's try it again. Yep, still not working.
Liar! Liar!
All right.
Man, Russell Brand, man, he really did a great job
Breaking
down that speech. And that was the exact speech that I was talking about that happened on September 10th. Mm-hmm. That was the day before, September 10th is the day before September 11th. But, it's the coincidence of it all is shocking. And the way he breaks it down, the rhetoric that they use, that the politicians continually use to get people to support it. They use that rhetoric.
Right. Yeah,
So,
it's just the same speeches over and over again that have nothing to do with clearly what it's really about. And that's my point, is that if you just kind of take a step back and look at the big picture, you should be able to see what they're really saying. Not what they're saying, but what they're not saying.
CBS today on 60 Minutes, just bring it up, the propaganda machine that's going on. Mm-hmm. They did an interview of some individuals over in the war in Iraq and Syria, mm-hmm. and they're basically trying to gain support by having sob story interviews of the brutality that ISIS has done on families, and basically they do it in the backdrop of football, and which a lot of Americans watch, so mm-hmm. they're counting on the public to watch mm-hmm. 60 Minutes, and it just seems like this. They're trying to gain support,
right?
They're trying to sell it to the American public.
That's the point. They're trying to sell it.
Yeah,
right.
That actually, just those actual actions by, the networks and by our president, those should empower us, because they still need our support.
Absolutely.
And those actions that they take by putting out the propaganda, putting maps of Syria on CNN. Oh, we're going to bomb here in northern Syria, and we're going to bomb here in northern Iraq, to try to amp up the public by doing the fear-mongering, by doing all the mm-hmm. cliche rhetoric. That is empowering enough to know that they really need our support.
Right. That's so important. I'm so glad that you brought that up. That's a huge point that really needs to be driven home to the average American citizen, is that they use us against ourselves. You know what I mean? By doing things like that, by drumming up the support for things that they know are immoral, that they know aren't in our own best interest. This war that they're gearing up for, that they're trying to drum up support for, by us acquiescing to their desires, doesn't benefit us in any way. it doesn't benefit us as a society. It doesn't benefit us.
We know our economy
financially,
right? Yeah,
right.
But the wars are draining our economy.
Yeah, there's no good for us that can come from it, except for the fact that it'll make us feel all warm and fuzzy to know that we said, yes, Mr. President, go ahead and defend that poor wife and that poor mother that had their kid's face blown off by an IED that was created by the CIA created ISIS.